Thank you, Janet, and thank you everybody for having me on today. I'm really pleased to be here. It's lovely to meet you all. So I am Dupe Witherick, and I'm an alcohol-free wellbeing and transformational coach. I'm also the author of A Cocktail of Clarity and a podcast host of Thrive Alcohol-Free. Yeah, as Janet mentioned, I stopped drinking. It'll be 4 years ago on the 9th of November, which is unbelievable. My story is probably similar to most stories. I started drinking when I went to university, and I was at Nottingham University, and I just remember Freshers Week, obviously everything being new. You're away from home for the first time. My parents lived in London, so I felt like I was free to do whatever I want, to be a proper adult. In that first week, obviously, in terms of introducing yourself and getting to know people, you join all the clubs and you meet people, and everything revolves around drinking. That's how you get to know people, meet people. And one of the things that I've reflected on since, because I think that was really the start of my drinking career, as it were. But one of the things I've reflected on is, what was the reason that I felt I had to do that? For me, I really wanted to fit in. I really wanted to be cool. I felt like everyone around me was doing it. But what was really interesting that came back to me I was in the hall of residence, and so there were about 180 of us in there. And I remember two people that didn't drink, two women that didn't drink, and they were ostracized. No one spoke to them. They were boring as far as I was concerned. And so in my head, anyone who didn't drink, that's where it all came from. Anyone who didn't drink was boring, didn't fit in, wouldn't have any friends. So of course I'm going to drink. So that was the start. And I lived in Spain for a year. I then worked in the city of London, and I've been in the corporate world for about over 20 years. And I was a management consultant for many of those years. And that involved a lot of global travel, a lot of client dinners, networking, conferences. And again, of course you're going to drink. Why wouldn't you? As far as I was aware, I was a normal drinker, because everyone around me was doing the same thing, because there was that expectation that whenever you went for a team event or anything, you had to have a glass of something. I remember about 2018, someone in my team turned around and said, "Can we do an event that doesn't revolve around it?" It's everyone, that's all they seem to be. At the time, I remember being absolutely horrified. Why would we do that? But of course, I was encouraging everyone to have their own ideas. And I said, absolutely, let's do something that isn't revolving around booze, but let's make sure there's the option to have a drink. So we did something that was bowling or something, I can't remember, but it was, again, it's that whole, you need to drink. Around the same time, a couple of years before I started feeling like it just wasn't agreeing with me anymore. It had certainly become a habit. It seemed to be the thing I did to celebrate, to commiserate, to if I was stressed, whatever the reason, that was my go-to. I just remember getting to a point there where I used to really like heavy red wines, and I would have a glass of heavy red wine. Couldn't get through a glass really before it started giving me a headache. I didn't really enjoy the feeling that it gave me. And again, instead of saying, "Oh, why don't I stop drinking?" I remember thinking, I can't not drink. I have to drink something. So why don't I try the lighter red wines? Then they didn't agree with me. Okay, I'll try white wine. And I was never really a white wine drinker, but that didn't agree. And you just think, what am I doing? I never questioned it, because my thought was, you'd only stop drinking if you were boring, if you hit rock bottom, or if there was something desperately wrong with you. And so that kept me stuck for many years. And in 2020, the year I turned 40, we all remember it well. In the March, I summited Mount Kilimanjaro. I did that for charity, which was an amazing experience. And I'm so pleased and grateful that we managed to do it, because literally we got back and a week later, I was in lockdown, and or we were all in lockdown. But having that experience, I really felt that there was more to life, and that there was something else, and that I was due to do something else. What that was, I didn't know. But I think when you're stood on a mountaintop looking over the world, you're thinking, this is incredible. And you think, what an achievement. But then you also think, gosh, there's so much more for me to do, so much more for me to explore. But obviously we went into COVID and it was panic and it was what the hell's going on? And it was, right, how do we work? How do we do? So for the next 6 months or so, I had my daughter was 6 at the time. So we had the whole homeschooling thing. I was also working pretty hard. I don't know about you, but if you were working from home during COVID, it felt like everyone was justifying themselves. So I was working from 7 till 7. It was just crazy the whole time. And it got to about October time and I thought, I'm not looking after myself. I'm not really doing anything. I was saying to my team, you need to go out and go for walks. You need to really look after yourself. You need to make sure you're getting away from your laptop. I wasn't doing any of these things, but I was getting tired and frustrated. So I said I would take a break from alcohol. Because again, I think during that time, there were all these mummy memes going around saying you need to drink. The whole way we were going to cope through COVID was drinking. But I had this epiphany that actually maybe I just need to take a break. So I decided to take a 21-day break. That was it, really. In those 21 days, a few things happened. If you've listened to the podcast, I think I might have mentioned it, but it was just fascinating. And it really made me realize that for a long time, I hadn't really been living and reaching my full potential. Just the basics of noticing things around me and walking in nature and doing the really basic things, reading. I hadn't read in the first year of me stopping drinking. I read more books than I ever had done for the past 10 years. It was a real eye opener. I met a fantastic community of people and realized actually there were people that were choosing to not drink. There were people that were loving life, not drinking. And that to me was just unbelievable. So 21 days has now led to 4 years. And in those 4 years, it's just been amazing. And I would absolutely advocate anybody who is thinking about whether or not alcohol's serving them. But more importantly, if you know deep down that life could be better spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or physically, just take a break from alcohol. Do it for 100 days and your life will change.